Dear students, welcome to the IBDP subject choices for the sciences. So you will be joining the program in 2022, and of course after 2 years your exams will be held in November 2023. So what you need to understand is that the science department forms part of the department that offers group 4 subjects. So we do offer biology, chemistry, and physics, both at the higher level and the standard level. Another subject that can be considered as a group 4 subject under sciences would be the environmental system and societies, which is offered by Miss Davy. However, you need to know that this subject is offered only at SL level. There are other group 4 subjects which are available at school, and they are design and technology and computer sciences offered by the design department. What you need to know is that to qualify for the IB diploma program, you will need at least one group 4 subject. It could be any subject from the list we have mentioned before. Of course, we do understand that certain students, depending on their career choices or university course choices, they might need to do 2 group 4 subjects or 2 science subjects. And how would you proceed to do that? So you will see that you can you might decide not to choose any subject from the arts, and by not choosing that one group 6 subject, you could have your second science subject. So, of course, at school you do understand that we have our prerequisites, which are set up as shown below. You will see that on the 4th row are the prerequisites for students who will sit for the Cambridge IGCSE exams, and the last row are the prerequisites for students sitting for the MYP e-assessments. So, for example, for biology, if any student want to take biology at SL, they will need to obtain a minimum of E in biology at core level. Of course, if you have met the prerequisites pre-extended or you had better results than an E, you will automatically qualify for this subject. An e-assessment student would require to have an MYP grade of 2. That is the minimum. Of course, if you do better, you automatically qualify to do biology SL. So the prerequisites work in a similar way for the remaining subject. You have to pay attention that for chemistry, you also need to have a pass in maths. So at SL level, an IGCSE student would need to show a minimum of G in maths. Of course, that is core. Or if you are doing the MYPE assessment, you will need to have a minimum grade of 3 in mathematics. It can be at standard or extended level. So the same is shown in chemistry HL, where you will need a minimum C in chemistry extended, but you will also need, along with it, a minimum of grade D in maths extended. So as you take a look at the prerequisite, please note down whether you need that subject at core or at extended, so that you know which subjects you'd be allowed to take next year. If you do not meet the prerequisites, you will be asked to consider other subjects within the sciences. Whichever you meet the requirement, you'll be asked to do those particular subjects. So, of course, we as a group 4 subject, we have certain aims, and these particular aims, they could be met through chemistry, physics, and biology. So what would be the first one is for us to appreciate scientific study and creativity within a global context through stimulating and challenging opportunities. What do these words mean is we would observe certain challenges around us, and using our knowledge, we try to overcome those challenges or tackle those obstacles. For example, it wouldn't benefit us to have squared wheels. By using our creativity, we came up with a circular wheel. This is a very simple example, but of course, you do understand the impact of circular wheels on our civilization, and same thing for multiple scientific endeavors. They will have an impact and often requires creativity. Of course, through chemistry, physics, and bio, you will be acquiring knowledge. You'd be acquiring how to run certain instruments. You would also acquire the skills to run those instruments, to perform those experiments. And just acquiring the knowledge is not part of the aim. You will also be asked to demonstrate those body of knowledge, methods, and techniques. So, of course, as a science student, you'd be expected to analyze, evaluate, and synthesize scientific information. So many of us watch Looney Tune cartoons, and there is one thing that always baffles me, as much as it looks funny when we're small, but there are so many aspects of sciences which is not respected. And you, by learning sciences, you should hopefully understand what makes a good scientific information or what could be a hoax, and you could easily look through certain facts. Of course, among the group 4 subject, we aim to develop critical awareness. We need to understand the value of effective collaboration and communication. So since start of 2020, you have noticed with this pandemic, scientists around the world are on edge. So they are having to quickly, through various methods, through all the knowledge they have, to collaborate. They are always speaking to each other, whether it be the University of Oxford, along with other pharmaceutical companies who were racing to develop the vaccine. And we have seen that throughout the world, there are so many pharmaceutical research groups that have developed various vaccines, testing their vaccines at a very high rate. So this shows to you what we can do through collaboration. In our next part, we need to understand that our aim is also to get you linked up with current technologies. Would we be trusting the old stopwatch, okay, which always had its own errors with respect to reaction time? Or could we take a look at new technologies such as light gates, light sensors, which can record time without the errors? Of course, the instrumentations are not limited to stopwatches. Throughout sciences, there are always new instrumentations being developed. And of course, as they develop, we have to ensure that your skills are appropriate to adapt to these new current technologies. You should be able to develop 21st century communication skills in the study of sciences. So as mentioned before, you should be developing your critical thinking. You should be looking forward to collaborate, to communicate clearly, and also to be very creative. As again mentioned a few minutes back, is the need to adapt with always updating platforms, softwares, because nowadays scientists wouldn't be sending faxes or telegrams to their peers in other countries. It's emails. They would have their own platforms to communicate their scientific findings securely. So you need to start displaying those abilities even within your school community. Of course, sciences, we are always having this discussion of judging what is correct and what is not correct. So we have to consider the ethical implication. You as science student, you will have an ethic guideline to follow. Of course, you will discuss what's good, what's bad, or when do we judge to proceed with particular experiments or investigations. As a science student, you should understand that sciences can offer a huge potential for development, but there are also significant limitations. If at your age someone were to tell me that a prosthetic arm could be controlled by the brain, it would feel like science fiction. It would not really seem possible back then. But nowadays, with prosthetic arms connected with your nerves, connected to your brain, some people are able to find the usage of a second hand. However, we also have to be realistic that these changes are not always possible. For example, sciences will not reach to a point where with the snap of a finger will reach on Mars, because of course there are limitations in the form of speed of light. It already shows that we won't be able to do it at the snap of a finger, but as we can see, like many of you have been following Elon Musk endeavors, we might civilize Mars, but is it going to happen immediately? We do not know. They do have a plan. So of course there are possibilities, but we also need to understand the limitations. Of course, sciences do not work alone. You need to understand that various areas of knowledge have their implication on sciences, and sciences have their implication on various other areas of knowledge. So many countries will always have the debate of sciences, how the politics will control, how the economics will work around it. So a proper knowledge, you as an IBDP student, you will be exposed to these various disciplines. So there is a need for you to as well develop an understanding of the relationship between all these particular disciplines. So of course, a big part of your course would be to know your assessment objectives. So there are four assessment objectives. You'll see the first and the second one are similar. Okay, so you as student, you will gain a body of knowledge. You would know how to perform certain experiments. You will have those skills, and you should also be able to communicate those information. And it's not limited to you obtaining the body of knowledge. It's also about you being able to apply it in a variety of situations. So throughout any assessment in IBDP, you will see that objective 1 and objective 2 will always be present. Objective 3, you will mostly apply it when it comes to your experiments, whether it could be for your individual investigation about which I'll speak, or looking at paper 3, where you will have to look at what are the wrongdoings in an experiment and so on. So of course, right now the assessment outline I'm showing to you would be the one to be used in a year where all the papers are being assessed normally. We do understand that the current pandemic has forced the IB to cut down on certain components. But right now for you in 2023, you are going to have the 3 papers plus your internal assessment. As you can see on screen, those are your weightage, and your teachers will speak about them again and again. Of course, as part of your assessment, you'll have a multiple choice paper, which is paper 1, a theory paper or structured question paper. Paper 3 will be about options. Those would be one chapter you will choose in your class to study. And of course, the internal assessment is a project which you will carry out for a duration of approximately 10 hours, and you will be required to submit that report to the IB. It's mandatory. You do not submit the internal assessment, you are penalized. You most likely will not have a grade for IBDP for that science. So here is the assessment outline for HL. Similar structure. The only thing that changes are the overall weightage of the different sections. But once again, your teachers will be speaking about these parts in the coming years as you will do these subjects. So, any science program that is run at the standard level, SL level, will be of a total duration of 150 hours. How do these 150 hours distribute? SL students would be required to dedicate 40 hours towards practical activities. Out of those 40 hours, there are 10 hours which are allocated to a Group 4 project. It is a collaborative project where all Group 4 students will come together. So sharing your knowledge across the sciences, across computer science, across digital, design and technology. There are some years where ESS students as well participate in the project. So altogether, you start to investigate an area and come up with your solutions or results of your investigation. The second one is known as an individual investigation. As the name says, it's on you. You find an area of your interest in the particular subject you are studying, and that project would be worth 20% of your final IB marks. Similar structure for the HL programs, whether it be for physics, chem, bio. 240 hours are dedicated for each HL program. 60 hours go towards practical activities. Out of those 60 hours, 10 hours are allocated to the Group 4 project, and 10 hours, once again, are allocated for your individual investigation. Similar format as the SL. I would have to point out a mistake. It is 10 hours out of 60 hours. So remember, practical for HL students would be 60 hours. So let's take a look a bit about the subjects we study. So if you take a look at this topic list, you will have encountered most of these topics in your IGCSE or MYP subjects. And these will be taught over the next 2 years. So you need to understand that all these subjects, all these chapters, all these knowledge, they are applied in real life. So always link up, always find the real life application of this knowledge. So you do understand that back in medieval time, we would be using the catapult. It's a simple knowledge of physics, a simple knowledge of projectiles, which you will be studying in class. But you also do understand that nowadays there are stronger, more powerful ways of projecting objects on the other side. So the second one refers to a black hole. In 2020, it was part of a massive discovery. They managed with all their knowledge to be able to capture an image of the black hole, and which proved many postulates to be true. So that would be part of your astrophysics if ever you study astrophysics as an option in IBDP physics. The second subject we teach at school, of course, biology. Most of these topics you have again encountered. So a study of life at school, or not at school, so a study of life in general, but of course through the curriculum offered by the IBDP. So they would vary from understanding how we live, how we adapt, and also understanding why we are as we are. Okay, so you will be engaged in a range of practical activities, and I do know that certain students do perform the dissection of a heart, of course not a human heart, among the multiple practicals, or you could also be linked up with removal of genetic material from particular cells. So among chemistry topics, you have most of them done at IGCSE. Of course, as all the subjects, we will go in depth in the knowledge being fostered. So in the past, I've seen multiple students consider exploring fuels for the future, so looking at greener fuels. Chemistry, with all the exploration of substances, is not limited to only what we do. It could be pharmaceutics, it could be to do with exploring what materials are available on other planets. So you will be engaged with such discussions throughout the years. So in that picture below, that would be students actually trying to make aspirin at school. So yes, you'll have the opportunity to do that if ever you take chemistry. At this stage, I often have this question: which sciences to choose? I would only present what you would do in these subjects, or what is required to do in these subjects, but always choose on the basis of what you wish to do at university, and also based on the school's prerequisite, and also what career you want. Different universities, they will have different prerequisites. For example, this question I'm always having from students: to do medicine, do I need to take the 3 sciences? No, it depends which country you decide to go to. If you're going to India, most likely you'd need the 3 sciences. Again, confirm on the university websites before you take any decision. If you're going to UK, certain university would ask you to have chemistry and a second science, or some university would say you can have biology and other sciences. Some university would tell you both chemistry and biology, or some would say chemistry and physics and you can do medicine. So you can see there is a huge range of options out there. Okay, multiple universities would have different needs, so please take a look at university requirements. Over here right now, you will see that even for civil engineering course at University of Manchester, so they do mention that they would like to have HL Maths, HL Physics, and one other subject. So take a look. They also have grade point requirements, which are very, very important. Of course, you will have a lot more questions that I could answer in this video. So if ever you need further clarification, please feel free to get back to me through my email. Speak to Mrs. Jundoosing as well. Speak to Mrs. Jundoosing in case of university requirements. She can guide you through this. Or as always, I'm willing to answer to your queries. So just send me an email and we can get that sorted. Thank you.